There we go. We are live. Good morning, everybody. For anybody who is up this morning, or if you're up in the afternoon like Vicki is, we're coming to you live to talk about marketing for your massage therapy business, which is something I am terrible at. Which we're fortunate to have Vicki, who's good at this stuff. And Vicki's over in the UK, so it's like 3:30 in the afternoon for her and 7:30 in the morning for me. So thanks for coming on, Vicki. Great to have you.
Oh, like I say, it's a lot easier for me getting up at this time than it is at you. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you actually have a podcast based on marketing your massage therapy business. How long have you been doing the podcast for?
So I think it's 3 years it's been running now, actually. Yeah. So it started I actually had a bit of spare money, not that happens very often, but just at the end of a tax year. So I was like, I know, what can I do? I'll buy a microphone and start a podcast, with not knowing what to do at all. But obviously I've done a lot of teaching and coaching and stuff in the past, athletic wise and stuff. So obviously then I was like, this works really, really well. And then sharing both sort of business and marketing type stuff. Obviously people have wanted to hear it, but obviously what I hope that I put forward is a very realistic and raw version of it, not the shiny version of here's all these amazing marketing funnels, like the reality of actually running your business. And that as a result that there's some actionable advice for people in there as well.
Yeah. And you've owned your own clinic for a number of years, and it's a multidisciplinary clinic, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've had it for 15 years now, I would say. So I ended up going to university, accidentally training as a sports massage therapist. Kind of really, really liked it. Built the business up, then it all fell apart. I got very, very unwell, got burned out, ended up registering bankrupt. So went away from all the stuff. And then I had friends still, probably after about 18 months or so, friends, saying, can you, because I was still doing sports and rowing. So like on the river, rowing and stuff. And they would still go, can you cut my back, or can you help with my wrist and stuff? So sort of got pulled back into treating, because obviously it is very rewarding, but obviously knew that I needed to do something different. Obviously just being a good therapist wasn't the answer to building that sort of business. So I've tried a whole range of different things. We're now at the point, very luckily, that we actually solely have soft tissue therapists where we work, some with more specialties in like chronic pain, some more exercise rehab focused. And also that pretty much I think all of the team, bar one or two very long-term therapists, are all actually employed as well, which is really rare over here. So that helped a lot with lockdown, with job security and stuff as well. So it's been a long journey, but absolutely worth it. And of course then trying to just help other people who want to do the same.
Perfect. So that's actually a really good little segue when you talk about lockdown, because I know we've all had to experience that, unfortunately. And you actually put out a lot of great content about COVID and paperwork and things like that for people who are coming back into practice that we shared with our audience. Can you talk a little bit about the stuff that you came up with?
Well, one of the things that we found was that we were trying to, because I would call us a medium-sized practice, but we just moved and done some build-out construction work. In theory, this was going to be one of our what will become our flagship kind of place. So we were just finding our feet, and then lockdown hit. So we weren't really in the position to sort of wait and see what happened. So as soon as in the UK we had the opportunity to work online. So there was all that, everyone working out. But of course, it is certainly for pure massage therapists who haven't learned around pain science, who haven't learned around pain coaching and education. That was quite a hard transition. But we got the opportunity to do outdoor appointment, socially distanced. So we very quickly then had to pivot and do all the risk assessments and everything for that. Because again, like most places, you don't have to do those if you're a small business. You have to after a certain number of employees. So of course, most therapists haven't done that. So when I'd obviously literally pulled my hair out, spent hours doing all of this paperwork, and then needed to just tweak it a little bit for then the actual delivery of in-person actual hands-on sessions. That risk assessment, those procedures, because I've got a team, as in, well, what the heck do we do if somebody actually, a client then calls us and says that they I tested positive. What if a therapist has this? I was like, I needed to do all of that documentation. And it then just seemed like, well, why on earth do we not share this with other therapists? Because I kind of know what I'm doing, and it was painful putting it together. So, it really, I do not want to have to do that again. So that idea of, again, scaling or like cookie cutter, then sharing that with therapists and that they can then literally just edit it and stuff, that was where that came from. And obviously I massively underestimated how much that was needed, because there was a free COVID just screening form that on Canva that then people could edit, which obviously everyone was hugely grateful for. But then so many therapists then bought one of the bundles, either just with the risk assessment or then with the other procedures. And it just shows how little we're taught about this. Like, if you haven't had a job in a business where they taught you how to do risk assessments or have marketing systems and stuff, how the heck are you meant to know? I went to massage school. I didn't go to business school. So yeah.
And I think it can probably be a blanket statement that's made that, all of us went to massage school, but we didn't learn a lot about business while we were there. I'm sure it's the same in the UK as it is here. So really interesting, because now, at least where I live, they're saying that the second phase is coming, and there's a chance that we could, or the second phase of COVID is coming, and there's a good chance that things could start going back into lockdown a little bit. And, a lot of us are just getting our feet and getting back into practice now. And so many of us are maybe going from being part-time because of COVID and maybe gradually getting into full-time, but that might get scaled back. But so what do you recommend as far as the people who are wanting to market their business and are maybe trying to ramp it up to get busier as they're making that transition from part-time to full-time?
Well, I think there's sort of one of two routes here, and you have to sort of work out which type of character or personality that you are. In that, if you're someone that struggles with confidence, the way you're going to see this, because again, people can seem very confident, but the way you see this is that you tend to doubt everything that you put out online, that the stuff that you put out isn't as good enough as one of your competitors, or it isn't high enough quality with stuff. What would be really useful for then helping market your business is to start looking in-house and what you do with your clients. So normally someone like that has very high standards. That's why they think that the content that they put out isn't good enough. But they're very confident. If you got a snapshot of them in the consultation room or like the treatment room, they would know exactly, right, no, this is the way forward. They would be incredibly reassuring with stuff. And one of the easiest things is whatever your clients are asking you in that room or asking you by email, like your regulars who love and adore you, start writing content, recording videos, just start putting that out there, and imagine that you're just talking to your clients, and that can make it a lot easier with stuff. The other one is that then if you are able to detach a little bit, and you can almost view it as in I almost view it a bit like how we have to have surgeons who have to be a bit detached from the work that they do. If they're too attached to the client, then obviously that's not an ideal thing. But if you can think about your business and get a bit more detached, that's when actually looking around at, for example, some of these content marketing subscriptions where you're paying a small amount per month, they're then generating the content for you, and you can get that done on autopilot. Now, I've literally just got off of a live with a very good friend of mine who helps physical therapists in the UK. Hers is called Cokinetic. There's my massage world. There's Gail Wood. There's a lot of these then coming out, so that then they do the background stuff, and then you can focus on delivering you, which might mean that then you only actually have to do something, 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week for 5 minutes here, and just doing a little chat with stuff. That then is actually quite a big volume of marketing that then you're going to be getting out there on social media. And then you can then see from there what then is doing well, and then potentially look at either doing a Facebook ad or taking that and literally just emailing your list that, because the amount of people that then won't have seen that, or they won't have thought about it. And most of the time we used to sort of say like email like once a month with stuff. It's really obvious now if you can get yourself emailing, even if your list is like 10 people, once a week, because things are changing so quickly. And people, like, we know how people behave under stress. Yeah, their thinking is very, very different focus. They're literally right in front of them. And if you're not there, even just as a reassurance to say, look, I'm here if you need some help, or here's some self-care tips and stuff. If you do experience a second wave or this, that, and the other, people, again, it will just go out of their minds with stuff. And this is where that just literally just a very simple 2-line email will still count as contacting people, or I love repurposing. So just taking whatever has worked on social media or people have liked, and then again, just sharing that as an email is a really good way to then help keep that going.
Yeah, and it's really trying to keep your practice or yourself front of mind for those patients that have already come in to see you. I just had a thought that now has escaped me.
I regularly get that. Yeah, go on.
And the other thing too is if you're constantly, like if you're using that as an update on your website on, let's say, a weekly or a monthly basis, that's also helping with your SEO, which then gets you into that search engine, so that when new people are looking, that constant update makes it so that you're more towards the top.
Exactly. And again, realistically, therapists are really appalling at marketing, and I include myself in this. So you really don't have to do much to be better than most people. Things like, as well, your Google My Business listing. This is a free listing you can set up. It will then show your location. People can add reviews. So many people, either have no reviews or they haven't set it up. And again, so there's podcast episodes on this if you want to learn sort of more about it, but it's a really easy system. And again, I'm super lazy, but I view that as like a badge of honor, because I'm also competitive. I want to help heal the world and earn loads of money. So of course, everything for no work. But then again, I'll just then take posts that have worked well on Facebook and post it onto Google My Business. I'll literally copy and paste stuff. Like it still will help that reach. But then I'm not having to put in loads of extra time or somehow be some creative genius with stuff. But one thing that sprang to mind, which I know that I was really bad at the beginning, was that being a sort of pain science and nerd and body geek myself, I'd be like, oh, this is a great article, or oh, this is it. And then I'd share that on my clinic's Facebook page. And that is not a good strategy.
No.
Because it's great for other nerdy therapists.
Yeah.
But the way to think about it is that use that post that you saw on Facebook that got you all excited. Where you're like, oh my God, let's look at the latest research and this, that, and the other. But just make some notes, and then think of, again, a very fond client who you know well, but isn't necessarily that sciencey. Then take those points and speak to them. Because then again, you can use the prompt of like, oh my God, this is really cool. But actually from that, you could probably get 15 to 20 short little ideas, or a quote, or again, an explanation or a little video on it. And that would last your whole blooming month's worth of content. But just sharing it and then wondering why no one's clicking on it, it's like, well, it's no brainer, because they're, like, say, we're the ones who are the body nerds. They're the ones who want to get fixed and maybe have a better relationship with their body.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be like a nerdy pain science post can be very overwhelming for somebody who doesn't understand it, and they could misinterpret it for how, for whatever it is that's going on with them. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. And your friend that you said you were with this morning is Cokinetic?
Cokinetic, yeah. Okay. So I can drop a post in the comments after this for how to find. She's another one of these people who's been a therapist. She's created content for a very, very long time. So she has, in the UK, we don't really have any magazines or anything like that at all. And she's got like peer-reviewed stuff that she puts together, effectively like translating from journals for the people that then subscribe. And but then as a result, that's the type of then social media content that she creates. So it's probably much more relevant for you guys, because again, it's going to be evidence-based stuff. Also, if you don't like any of it, so we'll say there was a posture campaign, and obviously we know the idea about postural assessments and various other things. So there were quite a few of those posts that I just in that particular campaign just turned off, because I was like, that doesn't fit with the ethos here of what we promote, which is actually, like, let's get your body moving in the way that works best. Then you can literally toggle them on and off. She's a physiotherapist by training. So that helps a lot better with the physical therapy side of stuff. Whereas obviously some of my podcast listeners, we've got, spa owners and things like that. So the content, I would say, is probably not as aligned for that. But if you've been looking for stuff that is specifically peer reviewed, infographics, things like that, then, she'll also cover other topics. So things like women's health, or obviously loads and loads of sporting injury type kind of stuff, chronic pain, and then also sort of age-related things and stuff as well. So it is that more physio kind of led stuff. But yeah, I'll pop you a link and you can pop that in. But I think marketing becomes this like huge mountain to climb, or the analogy that I keep getting at the moment is like needing to try and eat an elephant. It's like this massive thing that you just can't possibly do. So for me, the answer is just trying to find any way to make it smaller. Less intimidating, easier to tick over. Just start with the one small next step. So like I say, I'll be honest, it's taken me, 15 years, and I've got a team and I've got admin that help me and systems and stuff now. We've literally only 2 weeks ago did I write out the system for reliably putting a post out on Facebook with our availability each week. So but that's a really simple thing. Actually, someone could do start off with. I dove down the rabbit hole and tried to do all the fancy stuff, and actually having something reliable that you can keep going even a week when you're feeling exhausted or worried or stressed if there isn't the lockdown, something you can keep going is by far the most effective thing. And it shows authenticity in your relationship with your clients, rather than I'm just here for your money, come on, and I'm going to scare you into coming back for more appointments. But also it is fine to market if you are somebody that wants to empower your clients, because you can teach them that. I still get people from videos that I created on YouTube. Like I literally had an email the other day about ankle impingement from somebody from a video I created 5 years ago. And I still get clients from that. And I'm obviously, giving them the advice and trying to empower them and trying to demystify stuff. So you're not going to lose clients either by spreading what you teach in your practice.
Yeah, perfect. So one other thing that we talked about a little bit before we came on was when business is slow, if you're struggling to get more people coming in, so even if it's not a COVID issue, and we've talked a little bit about it, but if you have people who are afraid to come in for more sessions, how do you communicate with them about that?
So there's sort of two parts here, isn't there? Is there something that's making the client anxious and then stopping them coming in, which again may be COVID related or may not, i.e. one of the really obvious ones is just like, I think we forget because we are obviously working. It's like, I know that my first appointments, and even when I still go and see someone new, I've been brought up very British. I'm like, how many clothes do I have to take off for this appointment? Am I going to, because I had that experience where people were really into posture assessments, and I'd have to get down to my underwear, and then they'd ask me to reach over and touch my toes to look at this, and I'm like, that doesn't make me feel comfortable at all. So there's loads of questions that people might have that we tend to forget about, that if we could answer them, they'd go, oh, that's all right then. No, because like I say, I mainly treat with clothes on, so it's like, oh, I don't have to take any clothes off. Brilliant. Okay, that's great. So one of the ways to do this is to take what's on your FAQ page, research other people's FAQ pages, and then start creating social media content on that. So a little video, like give someone a video tour of your practice or your clinic. The ability to, we're very, very stressed at the best of times, let alone now. So when someone's trying to calculate, am I going to be able to get crosstown? I don't even know where I park near there. And then, what if the person's running late, and, are they a tall guy, short, fat woman, like this? All these things are going on in someone's brain for decision making. And if there's too many barriers, then they might think in the middle of the night, oh my God, I could really, really do with some help. But then the next day, then rationalize that it's not suitable. So creating and answering as many FAQs in as many ways. So like even in a welcome series, if you are doing email collection, just answering those in depth, one email per question, and really being thorough with it. You'll be surprised how many intelligent adults go, oh, I didn't realize that you also worked on headaches as well as knee pain, that you can explain, and then they'll book in for that session. And therefore, this obviously easily extends to COVID stuff. And some people are doing this quite well, but they'll do like one really long video talking about all their COVID stuff. I don't know about you, but I switch off after about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So again, if you can tackle one thing per video, then you're A, going to have more content. B, you're more likely for one of those to actually be watched. And when it's shorter, you'll keep someone's attention. And of course, then they might consume another one, or they might then scroll through your page. So that's a really good way of thinking again about objections. And this is no different to someone's objections as to why they can't do the exercises you gave them. Like they're not real in the sense of they're not insurmountable, but they're real to them. So we have to start that process before they even come in the same way as you would deal with any objection, for either a follow-up appointment or then for, exercise or whatever it might be, self-care stuff.
And actually, it's funny because you were talking about the frequently asked questions and being lazy earlier, because I'm lazy as well. And I actually saw a really good quote from, I think it was Bill Gates the other day, that said any chance he'd get, he'd hire a lazy person to do a job because they'll figure out the quickest way to get something done, or the easiest way to get something done.
Honestly, it's used to be something, as someone who's driven and competitive and want to do well at school and then try and do well at sports and stuff, lazy is often viewed as a bad term. But for me, it's like it's about efficiency. And I'm a lazy therapist. I'm like, I don't want to be, because I trained in sports massage, proper old school, like effleurage and elbows and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to be trying to like elbow in and this, that, and the other. Like, it's hard work. So already I was like, how can I win? How can I get our goal by using more finesse, by having fewer techniques? How can I still help more people? And then but earn more money, so that when practitioners start, you tend to have to do longer appointments because you're just not, as fluid with stuff and things. But then over time, it becomes very easy to do, a 30-minute session or 45-minute session instead of a longer one type thing. Yeah. Again, it's efficiency. And then it's like then learning how to be efficient and then hiring other people and having a team. But it's the same thing with any of the admin stuff. It's like anything that you repeat, you can get more efficient at, which means you can still have the same great result, but for less effort or less expenditure of time or money or whatever it is. And I think that sort of over time, I think that is where my role sort of in the business coaching side of stuff comes in this efficiency side of things. And I may or may not be writing a book at the moment that has the title Lazy by Nature. But, we'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Again, I'm trying to learn how to efficiently write it by voice dictating. So there you go. But there is always a way with all of this stuff, but you have to start. I think that's often the problem, is that people either don't start with the marketing because they either feel like they don't understand it, or it's too expensive, or it's never going to work anyway. Or they're in the other category where they've tried, but then they go, well, I haven't seen any results. I haven't seen any results. So what's the point? Why bother? Why don't I just stick with word of mouth? It works really well. So why not? And it does. It's a good background baseline, but you don't have any control over it. So, for example, coming back post-COVID, you don't have any control over word of mouth to then get more people back in. Yeah. And if they are a bit apprehensive, you don't have any control if you are wanting to go on maternity leave and then get somebody else to come in, or if you want to hire somebody else, or if you've got somebody even that wants to rent the room that you've got for a few hours, you don't want your clients to go to them. We need to get new ones. So this is why the marketing and learning it is really important, because it gives you more control over your business. You don't have to be inviting them into clinic the whole time, but you can still be widening that net, ready for if or when you want to with stuff. And then if you're in the group that's then tried and they go, well, I'm not getting anywhere. Well, first of all, there's other things you can track to show that you're improving. So I'm trying to do some stuff health-wise at the moment. Haven't been able to lose baby weight anywhere near as easily after compared to my first. Turns out that not quite pre-diabetic, but I'm not far off. Like, there's things that are problematic, and I want to lose the weight, but the weight doesn't come off. So it's really demoralizing. So I have to look for other things, like checking my blood sugar, like checking how many grams of carbs I'm having a day. And that's all working, and it keeps me motivated. And then when I now look back sort of 2.5 months on, it's slow, but there's a improvement. So with marketing, we can look at things like the amount of website visitors, or the amount of email subscribers, or the amount of inquiries you have. There's other things we can look at to show that you are progressing, even if it doesn't result in the actual money in the bank at that point. And one thing that I would massively advocate if you are on the time rich side is remembering that working with any clients is better than working with none. And that means even working with people for free. But it's really important that we don't stop there, because once you've got any clients, we then want to work with quality. So ones who are paying, who then are actively engaged in looking after their health. But you're going to get much more experience if you're able to get people in or have phone calls, like old school phone calls, and chat to people on the phone for half an hour, learn what they need, learn what they want, and then create some posts about that or email your list about that. So, by using those sorts of things, that then we can then start to get more in control of what's happening to our business. And I think now more than ever, that having that sense of control over things is quite important, like being able to go, no matter what happens, even if we have a second wave, I know that I feel confident that I can get the clients in as and when we reopen again.
Yeah. And actually, our friend Christian Weaver left a great comment there, because he's talking about social media and said the things that he's picked up is we can divide our social media approach or posts into 3 different things. 1, content creation; 2, collating external information; and 3, creating conversations. So if we can do that, that will generate the phone calls and all the other things that you just talked about coming into your clinic. And that's, go ahead.
And I think the issue is that we tend to, because we're doing everything reactively, think about it as that client who only ever books with you when they've got extreme pain and then they can't push on anymore. It's really quite hard to get significant progress, because you're always trying to dampen stuff down. And like, if they just invested a bit of time in a few more sessions after that, and then maybe actually even just got checkup, at 6 months, so they could check in, see how they're at, and course correct. It's the same with the marketing. We basically put the stuff out there just at that offer stage. So please, I really need the bookings. Like, oh my God, this, that, and the other. And then we get really despondent, just like the client, in that somehow miraculously they can't now, run a half marathon, given that they couldn't walk the previous week because they've only had one appointment. It's the same kind of thing. And we know how important it is to structure that we do get to the point where things feel, I want to say desperate, but that pretty much is it. Like when the diary's quiet, we're worrying about money and stuff. And we get clients like that, but we also know, if you're, into the pain science side, so if we know how to then talk to that client and manage that mental shift to then starting to prepare in advance and changing attitudes, it's exactly the same with you and your marketing. And if you've got a coach helping you, great, but you can still learn information and start creating those shifts, translating what you do for clients and that change of attitude to then your attitude with your business.
And interesting, like when you were talking about frequently asked questions and the admin stuff, a really good piece of advice that my friend John Goodman, and I just want to give props to him because I would have never thought of this, thing that he came up with was like create a Dropbox file or a Google Drive file, something like that, where all of your answers to those things are written out there, so that all you ever have to do is just copy and paste and drop it in. You're not typing out another thing over and over and over again. Have that list of answers so that it's just a quick copy and paste, and then it's not such a daunting thing when you're getting lots of emails, and you can just copy and paste the same answer back.
Absolutely. So like another term for that would be a swipe file. So literally just swipe it across and through. And again, anything that you do more than once, you can start to look for how you can systemize it. So i.e. like write it once and then copy it across, or how you can automate it. And we use this in clinic all the time. So, you will get those clients, for example, that just don't want to rebook at the time. They're just, and I'm pretty much like this too. I'll be like, no, we now got to a good point. I will look, I'll check my diary and get back. But again, we all know that it is reasonable that people will forget as well. So we have like a review email automation. So all that will happen is that the therapist will then agree a check-in date. They can then go to an email, Google Sheet. So you can set this up. You don't need any bespoke software. Google Sheet, they put the client's name, the date of the review, and then there's a sentence in there that says how, ... So the therapist can then personalize and say, how's your back? How's the running training going? How are the kids? And then there's other bits of an email already pre-written, and then it will wait till the date. And if they haven't booked in, it will then send them that email. So some of it's templated and some of it's personalized. So again, there's really nerdy ways if you want to be super lazy like me.
Which I do.
But, even just starting with a swipe file, or like I say, Gmail will have this feature. I'm not quite sure exactly what it's called, But what's it called? Anyway, if you type, you can have pre-written responses. So as soon as you start to type a sentence, or in the bottom right-hand side, you'll have the option for these pre-written ones. There will be a term for it. I'm sorry, I can't remember, guys. But you can write it out in advance, and then you literally just click a button and then go. But the best bit is that when we tend to plan our whole business, and just like clients as well, they always plan their training or whatever around when they're at their best, when they're the most focused, have the most time and most relaxed. When you do that, you'll send this lovely email to a client, you'll give them an invite to come in, or you'll link to a blog post to help the traffic, you'll do all the bits. But then when you're like, I'm a solo parent, I've got an 18-month-old, I've got a dog who I'm planning on having puppies with very soon. Like, I do not write the same quality email to clients
every single time
at 10 p.m. at night when I'm like, why am I doing this? It's something that's sometimes on the bathroom, with stuff. Yeah. But I don't write the same quality, and it's unrealistic to make an assumption. Again, this sort of way of thinking, isn't it? We think we do this ideal thing all the time, but we don't. We vary so much, the morning to the evening. So think of ways to make it easy for yourself when you're tired or exhausted, but that you can still give that same quality response and care to your clients. And I pick my team up on this so much. For me, in clinic, that client who comes in at 9 a.m. or at 9, well, not 9 p.m., but like 8 p.m., they should deserve the same quality of care from you, right? It shouldn't be any different.
Yep.
And that means we need breaks. That means that we need time for the therapist to wind down. We need the therapist to be using their skills efficiently. We need to then also be thinking about the admin stuff and things. But just imagine yourself. So you've got that, and notice how your business always comes after your clients. So if we already see a decline in your performance in what you give to clients, and then a business like systems, like care for your business comes after that, and then you're then wondering why you're always feeling tired or run down or not got the money, like, you can see more easily how that can happen. So laziness helps you be as awesome for that 9 a.m. client, as well as long day, and then still being able to do the admin as well. Mm-hmm. Lazy is awesome.
Yeah. Well, our friend Aaron Singer just left a comment and said, it's not lazy, it's efficient.
It's efficient. It's efficient. It is efficient. That's what it is.
So you may want to think about, instead of lazy in your book title, put efficient in there. I don't know if that's a better marketing.
The word efficient will come in there. But again, it's just, people seem to think that, lazy or like, is such a bad thing, and I've got to then work so hard with stuff. But actually, yeah, lazy, especially in business, absolutely is efficient. And again, I pride myself on being a lazy therapist, in that I want the client not to know all the stuff that I'm thinking and I'm planning and reading their body language and what language I'm picking. I don't want them to know that. I want them to think that I do it all effortlessly, and that I do these, sort of mini little things, and see how easy it is to help, because of trying to be super efficient with stuff. But it takes planning. And again, normally, because we think about the business second, or it's very reactive, we're not then planning, and that's what then creates this loop of then, oh my gosh, my diary's quiet, what do I do? Panic, repeat, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I love in the conversation that we had earlier, and we've been talking a little bit about it, but if you can expand a little bit on treating your business as well as your clients.
Well, this is the thing, right? We have so much pride, and particularly this community, so much pride in being the best, and not being the best in a competitive, but being the best for ourselves, and really properly looking after our clients. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not just giving them a rub and come back next week with stuff. Really like having a curiosity around our work. Priding ourselves on the investment that we put in our CEU courses, or the amount of time with it and stuff. And why? Because it creates results for clients. Mm-hmm. But what the real next step is that if you really want to do that, then actually we need to do exactly the same for business. Because how can you help more people if you're not even able to reach them? Or how can you help more people if you are always so tired, or you don't have the money to invest in getting a decent car or a freaking holiday with stuff? And that level of mastery, I think there's a lot of people in this community that idea of being able to master this interaction with our clients. If you took just an ounce of that then towards the business, if the business was a person and we were treating them that way, that they always came last, that we never really listened to what it was saying, which is that I need more help and support with stuff, that we always did like quick fixes or through. There's no way we treat clients or our friends or anyone else like that. But then we forget that we're stuck with it. That business isn't going anywhere. That is the vehicle in which we help our clients. So unless you're going to be an employee or maybe, you know, work for, you know, I don't know, like a university or a college or something like that, that stream of clients doesn't just come. And also, personally, I think the mindset that you need to make that shift to learning about things you maybe don't want to learn about, that's really important for being a good therapist. Yeah, because otherwise you're just going to then keep focusing on this narrow thing and you'll think you're really open-minded, but of course we're all biased. So if you can actually learn how to do stuff that you don't want to do or that you're intimidated by as an adult, which is a bit silly to say sometimes, oh, I'm intimidated about marketing, but actually when we strip it back and you sit there and you're like, I literally don't know what to write here, do you not think that's going to then actually help you coach your clients better when you're talking to another adult who's like, so for me, I'm trying to work out which gym to go back to at the moment. And I can tell there's an irrational anxiety around, oh, well, you know, this one doesn't work for this reason and this one doesn't work for this reason and stuff. If you have gone through the process of doing things that are really challenging for you, or that you've had habits for years and then shift, you know, sitting down and making sure you have time and you're doing your bookkeeping, that's going to make you a much better therapist and much more empathetic. And we know how important empathy is. And we know how important being able to highlight different strategies as well. So if nothing else, that's how it will feed back. But the main thing is that if your business isn't working well as an entity with stuff, then you're not going to be able to help the clients. You're always going to be sort of going with the handbrake on, you know?
Yeah, and I really like the idea that we also have to change our mindset when it comes to money, because so many of us got involved in this as an industry because we wanted to help people, and kind of some of us might feel a little greasy sometimes when we're charging top dollar for what we're doing, but we have to remember that the more money we make, the more people we can help.
Now,
if you're looking at, say, your clinic, the more money that you're bringing, the more money that your clinic's making, then maybe you can expand. The more therapists you can bring in, the more you're going to be able to help people. So I think we have to kind of change our mindset around that, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. And I think that for me, like I say, as someone that, you know, like clearly didn't have a good relationship with money, was massively undercharging, you know, and then they got going out of business. I think for me, even that wasn't quite enough. But what did make the difference, because I was like, yeah, I mean, I kind of get it that, you know, if I earn more money, I can help more people. But, you know, like I could still, I don't have to, I can make do on what I've got and all this, that and the other. But actually, there's a few things. Like one, if you want to be really, really good at what you do, you need to increase your prices because you need to deal with that fear around it, that you need to then push yourself to then level up in what you develop. But what I then most love is create a blooming business that then has a range of options for people. So, for example, we have free content that we put out that people can use. So, again, if someone's super motivated but they've got no money, then they can use the free content to help themselves. I mean, we know full well there's enough content out there that pretty much all of our clients could help themselves anyway, but they don't. But if they really wanted to, if they were really stuck, they could. We then have low cost appointments that we use for a very specific purpose. We use that for when we've either got student therapists who would need to come in and do their hours, because again, mentoring them and giving them the experience of a real clinic is very different to school with stuff. But that then allows people to access, you know, good quality care, but at a lower cost. But also when a new team member joins the team, so that we can give them that experience and get the momentum, and we can then help them and stuff, and also not put the pressure of a full price appointment on them straight away. We then got our main team, and then we've then got me as the, you know, the sort of specialist who then charges more. And then there's a whole range with stuff. And that's the thing. I think, I mean, it seems great, Vicky. Yeah, you've got a team and you can do this. Yeah, but you can still, I didn't start that way. You know, I started by making sure, because I didn't feel good about just charging more, because I had been a student. I hadn't had much money. I knew I had really needed help. You can have a low cost clinic at your quiet off peak times, limited numbers. And some people are like, should I do it means tested, like income tested? And I'm just like, no, like the easiest thing is just if someone really wants it, they'll book in advance for that session and then they'll rebook and they'll be really grateful for it. And if it's not working, you just take it off the calendar for a bit because it's not available as an option anymore. And then you then put it back on as and when. So, there's loads of ways to shift it. Some people will charge more for evenings and weekends. I've never done that, but that works really well because they don't mind doing a bit of it, but they want to, their family to know that's they value that fact that their family have let them go away to go to work, this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that, my biggest shifts always came with price increases and price increases that were more uncomfortable than I wanted. I remember I did one and I sent an email out. I remember I didn't get any new bookings for like 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, I've literally, with one email, I have destroyed my entire business. Now, I actually did another price increase after that. And now post lockdown are charging double what that one was that was scaring me. So, but you'll end up with different clients when you charge more. You'll end up with the ones who are more quality. They invest more. You might end up with them being slightly older as well, because you'll get, and I definitely, from low cost, I had lots of athletes, which I enjoy working with. And as the price gone up, I've gone more for working with people on longevity. But there's a lot of teaching around fear-based stuff you can really help with that. And people who are the worried well and they want to stay that way. Lots of people who've had other family members who have had surgeries gone wrong or this, that, and the other. But then again, you can still offer, drop-in things. You can do workshops, and with online stuff now, PayPal will do a donate what you want type amount. I use Acuity for my booking system. They've now got a pay what you want type thing. So you can do this stuff as well, but it doesn't. And again, worst case, you can just drop your prices again. Like, seriously, it's not, no one will know or care with stuff if it doesn't work out. Now, the reason that I'm fidgeting is that my dog is coming to say hello. So this is Lara. So whenever I'm live, the other day she didn't do it and I did a live earlier and she's just like, love me, love me, love me. So yes, if you see me sort of a little nose or stroking, then it's the dog.
That's great. I love dogs, so have her in the shot whenever you want. So I think just one more thing to chat about, because I've taken almost 45 minutes of your time here, is what are some ways that you add income to your practice that isn't by treating people?
This is a really good one. So I've never been one huge on like retail products. We had foam rollers and maybe like lacrosse balls and kind of stuff like that. Now, one of the things that's made a really big difference is that during lockdown, we started delivering some online classes. Like, we were just we weren't really able to, and we're very manual based clinic, like really quite heavy hands-on, really working on the team to get them doing more exercise or movement based kind of stuff. So getting people to transition to like a one-to-one online appointment just didn't work well, but classes worked very well. And one of the reasons being, so we did a whole host, we actually put them, so our kind of tagline at the clinic is like heal, mobilize and strengthen. Oh, that's the dog. Heal, mobilize and strengthen. So we kind of split classes into that. So we've got like a de-stress and massage class. So effectively guided relaxation type thing. We've got, say in the strengthening, we had like strength and skills for runners. So it was literally like skills based, like hopping drills and hip strengthening, like stuff like that. That worked really well. And one of the reasons is that people are more familiar with that. So that's certainly one way to go about it. Something that is really quite easy to put together, dare I say, but I did this a number of years ago and it still sells really well, is we did some mobility challenges. So literally I just recorded like one exercise or movement a day. Okay, so here's the structure. You test at the beginning, just some movement testing. Obviously, going back with now knowing more about pain science, I'd get them to then do a little bit more stuff around how they feel about their body and stuff like that. But you can just create that in Canva, like a little workbook. One movement a day, and then they would then grade them. And then at the end of it, after 21 days, they pick the 5 that made the biggest difference for them. So then they could then carry on afterwards. doesn't take long to do. You can use a fancy system, but you can just record them, stick them on YouTube, and then send an email a day through MailChimp, for example. And that works really well. And then you can do that as like a event in the clinic, or you can just have that as something that you sell in the background. One thing that I did, which I was amazed to solve, is I just took the blog posts that I put together. Some of them are really short things, like 5 tips for this. Other ones were just transcribed from videos and stuff, and just put them again into an ebook. So you could have got every single one separately, but because they're in a book, people then bought it, and and that was like $14.99 or something like that. So we've got someone saying, did we record them to sell as standalone courses? Yeah, I did them as standalone courses, but then of course we can then recommend them to clients as well. If we're like, look, you're going to be traveling, well, this is a good one to then take through, and you've still got the option to like educate people on and coach them sort of through when you record the video anyway. Other things you can do, so you can do sort of affiliate sales. So this might be, it's a good habit to get into. It's not going to be loads of money, but you can, anytime that there is something that you recommend or a book or anything like that, when you send it to a client, you can make an Amazon affiliate link. So basically they pay the same. I don't know if you can hear that. The dog is, I don't know what she's eating, some plastic or something down there. So I don't know. I have been feeding her, honestly. She doesn't have to eat plastic just to keep alive. All right, come on. But what we do, for example, is that we just put a shop on our website, and we just pick some of the products that we would normally recommend, and then use an Amazon affiliate link. And again, it won't be much, but it will still be some. But it's this attitude, like you sort of even just thinking of like, how do I earn? It's a really good question. So starting to explore that either is going to help if there's a second wave and more lockdown, but realistically, any successful business will typically have multiple forms of income. And by having that, you're then going to obviously be more robust and therefore be able to cope with whatever happens. I mean, we just to add to the chaos, we had lockdown. We've been open around 5 weeks or so. A new team member starting. Oh God, the dog's on the headphones. He's really wanting some attention now. New team member starting as an employee. And we had to put them back a day because the clinic got flooded, like quite seriously flooded. So we've only been open a blooming month. Wow. And then there's that. Now, it turns out we didn't actually have to stop, but actually we could have then very easily shifted back to our online stuff because we had already practiced it and we still had it as an availability type thing with it. But what I would say is that then what with lockdown and the flood, look into insurance options for things. I would never normally have gotten insurance for anything. And obviously COVID specifically isn't necessarily being covered, but I've had it where I thought I had the flu and I had a kidney infection, and then I was in hospital for a week and then was off work for a few weeks. You don't ever know. So looking at either business interruption insurance, like I say, and even for me, I was very surprised at how low the quote was. I would at least investigate these things because, again, like I say, if we're wanting to keep this as your career and you're not going to swap to something else, or if you are, it's just you earning in the household, these sorts of things, again, this is shifting that money mindset stuff. It's taking responsible decisions about it and investing for the future with stuff as well.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about like having the Amazon affiliate links and things like that on your website is the other thing that does is creates convenience for your patients, which then increases trust in your clinic, especially if you're providing links to quality things and things that are relevant to them. So I love that. Christian is also asking how much you use email marketing, which I know you do a fair bit of. And you guys actually are both in the UK, so you might be a really good fit to have a chat with each other because Christian's a sport therapist and he's got a membership around sports therapy and stuff like that. So I don't know how far apart you guys are, but you might want to touch base after this is over. But
sounds good. That sounds good. So as in, how much do I use it? Well, like I said, I have always been what I would call a reluctant marketer. It's always, had always been, and I would still say feels like it's an afterthought. I'm very focused and obsessed on what happens in the treatment room, so that's what I love and enjoy. And then as a result, then teaching the other therapists and helping them with rebooking and stuff as well, that's always been a focus. Email marketing, like I said, I used to fall into the category, like, couldn't quite find stuff that worked. Would try some of this content stuff and once a month, but generally speaking would stick to, there's a new therapist, there's a therapist leaving, we've moved, those sorts of emails. And I was still able to do okay on that. But shifting to emailing once a week, we over lockdown started doing, oh God, what's the dog doing now? She's on the blooming sofa now. God, dear me, what's she doing? Dear me, she's never does this normally. We tried a range of things during lockdown, and what we've ended up settling on, so we did like 9 a.m, we would do like 15-minute sort of free movement class to sort of see how that would go and get some engagement, and to be honest, keep the morale of the team up. But what's actually worked best is that once a week, midday, sort of time when it's quiet for us, sort of 2:30 p.m-ish, 2 of the team members will hop on a call like this, and they'll do a virtual clinic. They'll just discuss one. So today it's kind of like, why do my knees click? Should I train when I'm in pain? Like some really just generic sort of questions.
Mm-hmm.
So we use that, and we use that as our once a week email for our content, which then allows me as then the business owner type stuff to then focus on. I'll then email them with offers or updates or things as well. So that one is, you could just chip out on a topic yourself. In, for example, my membership, we've got the content creation workbook, which specifically is to sort of help with coming up with the ideas for this. But a really simple one is just go from head to toe and think of the common questions or common ailments, and then just have a topic where you just chat on that for 5 minutes or so. Just start small, and then email that once a week. So again, it all links into how can you get the most? Can you get an email, a Facebook post, a Google My Business post, a Twitter link, something to YouTube? Can you get that all from one piece of content? And if you can do that, repurposing and get the efficient, but repurposing, is absolutely worth it for sure.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, we've taken just about an hour of your time, Vic. So can't thank you enough. Really appreciate it. So for anybody that's watching now or watching down the line, if they would like to know more about what you do and be able to be in contact with you, what's the best places to find you?
So the easiest thing to get a bit of information and see any of the like courses that I offer or the coaching membership or anything is literally going over to www.massagetherapistbusinessschool.com. And then if you are a avid learner and you want some stuff for your runs, or in the car like I do podcast wise, then there's, like I say, over 100 episodes or something now of the Massage Therapist Business and Marketing podcast. So nice bright blue logo. It'll be very obvious when you see it. And that's all on the main like podcast players. So those are probably the best 2 places. There's quite a few freebies downloads that you can grab from the website, and that'll get you on the mailing list, and then you'll get all the podcasts and then the other fun stuff that we do.
And a Facebook page for each of them?
Facebook pages for the podcast. I can't change for some reason to the business school, but the podcast came first. And then we thought, right, but this seems to be helpful. Let's turn it into something proper afterwards. So that would be the Massage Therapist Business and Marketing podcast. And then again, you'll see all bits and pieces on there. And like I say, the main thing is that, that I try to be an example of someone who's really passionate about their client work, who's clearly made many, many mistakes and done stuff the wrong way in the past. And like I say, and I'm still very ambitious, very driven, and want to have time to myself. And I'm doing this as a solo mum with 2 kids. So if I can do it, then I'm very, very happy to teach you the quicker way and the fast track to avoid the pitfalls with stuff. Because we're not taught this stuff, and there's no need for us to all learn the hard way. Like I say, you've got a few people like me that do it for you. So, all right.
And then down the road, can you please share with us pictures of the puppies when they come?
I will do. We're literally waiting for when she is ready. We went and met the daddy dogs the other day. Very bizarre conversations, but yes, she is a very blonde golden retriever. So the puppies should be gorgeous. So yes, I promise I'll share some photos of the puppies.
Perfect. And if anybody wants to get really geeky, they can look through mine or Vicky's history from about a year ago, and there's pictures of me holding her baby at a conference.
That literally popped up as a memory the other day with stuff. Ended up meeting in person at a conference. We'd known each other before, and my baby was probably like 6 months old or something, and there's a clip of Jamie looking very paternal, like cooing this little baby in the corner as I'm like, recovering with the time difference and everything. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Vicky.
No worries. It's good to chat.
We'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah. See you. Bye bye.